Can we settle? Thank you very much, colleagues, for attending this press briefing, which will be an interim report around the investigations that we are doing as the SIU in the Department of Home Affairs. And in front of us, we've got 6 panelists. Here from the department, we've got the Minister, Minister Dr. Schreiber, Deputy Minister Nzuza, and DG Makode. On the other side, on this side, we've got the head of the SIU, brand new head. This is his first press conference. And therefore, Mr. Lekgetho, and then we've got Mr. Maseko and Ms. Ghana, who will be assisting. This will be the panelists. Without wasting time, because we don't want to keep you here for too long, we go into start by calling on the head of the SIU, Mr. Leonard Lekgetho, to come and make a presentation. And we want to say that it's rather a longish presentation, especially because it deals with a lot of issues that happened there in the Department of Home Affairs. Therefore, if we can just bear with us, and then from there we'll have a response from the department, and then we do Q&A. That's how the program is going to be. Without wasting more time, can I ask Mr. Lekgetho to come and present the interim report of the Home Affairs? Mr. Lekgetho.
Thank you, Program Director. Like you have indicated that it's a brand new, so it means I'm allowed to make mistake. But otherwise, member of the media, Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, and Deputy Minister, DG, colleagues, that's my colleagues, and valued South African participating in this conference through online channel and other platform. And good morning. I extend my gratitude for honoring our invitation to attend this event. The Special Investigating Unit has uncovered a disturbing reality. South Africa's immigration system has been treated as a marketplace where permits and visas are sold to the highest bidder. Officials entrusted with safeguarding the integrity of the Department of Home Affairs, instead of turning their position into a profit-making scheme, while external actors, including Prophet Shepard Bushiri, Mr. Mpofu, and a Nigerian rapper, which is Prince Obioma, exploited influence, fabricated documentation, and manipulated systems weaknesses to secure permanent residents out of the system. The investigation revealed that the country's borders were not protected by law, but auctioned off through corruption. The investigation into the affair of Home Affairs was authorized by President Cyril Ramaphosa under Proclamation 154 of 2024. An interim report outlining the outcome of our investigation has been submitted to the President, and we are now making the finding publicly available. From May 2024, we conducted search and seizure at Asylum and Fraud Revelation, where a whistleblower brought forward to the SIU allegation that foreign nationals enter South Africa, fraudulently obtain asylum seeker permit, and later use them to apply permanent residence and ultimately citizenship. The SIU received information that this foreigner national collude with syndicate involving corrupt Home Affairs official to secure permits. Without merit, as permits are issued upon application without assessing the asylum claims. Holders can remain in the country even if their application is rejected by exhausting appeal rights up to the Constitutional Court, regardless of the merits of their application. To investigate, the SIU obtained a special tribunal order, and with the assistance of the Directorate of Priority Crime Investigation, which is the Hawks, we made search on 5 refugee reception centers where we seized laptops, desktop, cell phone, external drives, and files. 237 items were imaged for cyber forensic analysis, where cell phone analysis revealed communication between officials and foreign nationals, with payments via e-wallet ranging from 500 to 3,000, facilitating the unlawful issuing of permits and visa to unqualified individuals. Payments were made through various methods, cash hidden in application form, with office door closed to avoid cameras, and we also found e-wallet deposit using non-RICA registered or fraudulently registered number, asylum seekers sending e-wallet payments to themselves and providing the OTPs to official, and in-kind payments such as covering official private rent or services. An official used dummy phones to conceal transaction and communication. Then, when coming to officials selling citizenship for fraud, the nefarious syndicate is a coordinated group of department officials responsible for unlawful processing and adjudication and receipt of visa application. However, they have engaged in behavior suggesting systemic corruption and illicit enrichment in violation of the official duties. The SIU can reveal that so far we have uncovered that 4 officials who earn less than 25,000 a month have received a total of 16.3 million in direct deposit. Evidence indicates that certain members of this group have acquired significant assets that are grossly disproportionate to their legal income. This includes the cash purchase of multiple properties and construction of high-value residence development. Some members have developed private properties with the extensive infrastructure such as large-scale solar installation and spacious parking lots, suggesting access to capital inconsistent with their official salaries. The SIU investigation showed that certain officials turned the permit system into a marketplace. Their modus operandi was simple. Applications were sent via WhatsApp for expedited approval, and once approved, money flowed almost immediately. Payments were not made directly to officials, but funneled through accounts held by their spouses, deliberately disguising the bribe. In one case, a payment was approved on the 20th of December 2021, and on 21 December, 3,000 had then been deposited in the spouse account. In another transaction also, we saw 6,000 transfer days after 2 payments were approved. This transaction revealed a direct link between approval and payments, leaving no doubt that payments were being sold. Officials also operated within syndicate, using intermediaries to collect funds from foreign nationals, and transactions refer as permit and visa processes or building materials were used to mask the true nature of the payments. That is what we saw in their bank statements. Secondary accounts belonging to spouses reveal unexplained cash deposit amounting to hundreds of thousands of rands. The scale of enrichment was staggering. Analysis of construction company registered in the name of one official's husband revealed deposit of totaling 8.9 million between 2020 and 2023. These deposits were inconsistent with legitimate construction business activity and included payment explicitly referenced as PRP, meaning that permanent residence permit. At least 185,000 was directly linked to the PRP application. Officials turned their spouse into silent partners in crime. Another official accumulated so much wealth that she built a mansion and paved a road leading to her home on a monthly salary of 25,000, meaning that official built a tar road to her house. I mean, this is just to show how this official was soliciting money. I mean, with a salary of 25,000. The SIU has also traced financial gains exceeding 181 million associated with beneficiary of fraudulent visa application, which were underpinned by fake documentation. Then when we deal with another categories, which is faith as a gateway, there we're dealing with prophets and pastors. The SIU has identified a coordinated network of religious figures, that is pastors and prophets, exploiting immigration system through fraudulent documentation and fake retirement confirmation, falsified financial means, marriage of convenience, and syndicate-backed sponsorship, faking financial stability. The first one is Prophet Shepherd Bushiri, where we all know about his dealings. And in our investigation, into his dealings, it illustrates how external actors exploited the same weaknesses that we have identified within the department. Bushiri leveraged his influence through church network and fabricated documents to secure a fraudulent immigration status. His permanent residence permit was approved by an adjudicator who was a member of his church, which is a clear conflict of interest. Bushiri's application was supported by a fraudulent letter of financial independence signed by a chartered accountant who admitted was paid merely for his signature. Bushiri also claimed proof of an aircraft purchase as evidence of financial independence. When you apply, you need to indicate that you are financially sustainable. Therefore, he used the purchase of an aircraft that is his financial independence. An investigation revealed that $1.2 in cash was paid from his non-profit company at Lanseria Airport. This raised serious concern about money laundering and misuse of religious donation. Church member played a central role in facilitating fraudulent application, associated, drafted, and submitted documentation, while donations were rerouted into personal account under the guise of tithe or seed transaction. Transaction linked to his ministry account to private companies with payment disguised as crossover T-shirts. The SIU found that Bushiri held directorship in 14 companies and owned multiple properties in Pretoria. And our investigator found that religious donations were converted into a brick, mortar, and corporate shares, highlighting how faith-based contributions were laundered into personal wealth. Another pastor that we dealt with is Pastor Timothy Omotoso, where Pastor Omotoso modus operandi was fraudulently built on fraud and misrepresentation to gain entry into and subsequently residence in South Africa. His initial entry was secured through a fraudulently obtained work permit issued in a country where he was not a citizen, based on an unauthorized directive. This pattern of deception continued as he consistently provided conflicting information about his travel history and residency, submitted affidavit claiming lost documentation to avoid producing verified credential, and use the initial fraudulent permit to support subsequent and more permanent immigration application. As his status was repeatedly questioned, his method evolved to exploit administrative and procedural vulnerability within the Department of Home Affairs. When his visa renewal was denied for non-compliance with regulation, he sought to bypass this requirement by petitioning for ministerial waiver. The investigation revealed that this waiver was unlawfully granted by an official without the necessary delegation of authority, highlighting a strategy of leveraging administrative gap to override lawful rejection and perpetuate his stays in the country. The other example that we also want to mention is that one of Mr. Mpofu. I think also his case was well mentioned in the media, where SIU investigated Mr. Mpofu following a whistleblower allegation in 2023. Evidence confirmed that Mr. Mpofu obtained a fraudulent permanent residence permit in 2018 through an agent paying $3,000. The document was riddled with irregularity, incorrect font, misspelled stamp, and reference number that did not exist in the Department of Home Affairs record. Despite the fraudulent PRP, Mpofu used it to secure a high-paying position in the Northwest Development Corporation. He was employed as an asset manager, earning close to $900,000 per annum, and later promoted to acting CFO, then to CFO, earning $1.6 million per annum. He also used fraudulent visa and exemption certificate to extend his stay and employment, despite being ineligible under the Immigration Act. Mpofu fraudulent documentation enabled him to obtain vehicle finances for a Land Rover Sports and a Ford Ranger and a BMW 3 Series. He also manipulated traffic registration number to secure licenses. As you know, there's what we call traffic registration number. This number is issued to foreigners who come to the country if they want to buy vehicle, because you require an ID number. So he used that in order to buy vehicles. The SIU refer Mpofu matters to the National Prosecuting Authority, resulting in conviction at the Mmabatho Regional Court. He was sentenced to 3 years imprisonment under correctional supervision, with an additional suspended sentence for fraud. We are talking as the team, looking at the sentence that has been muted out. So we are looking at whether we should not convince NPA to really appeal the sentence, because based on what has happened, we don't feel that the suspended sentence will be appropriate. Still under Mpofu, his modus operandi include exploiting deficiencies in the department systems, using agents to shift responsibility, and abusing litigation to delay accountability, and taking advantage of weak interdepartmental verification process. Another example also that we want to highlight is a McLaren investigation, which is a Nigerian national and unexplained re-entry into the country. The SIU also investigated a Nigerian national link to a high-profile McLaren crash in Cape Town. One individual, Mr. Prince Obioma, overstays his visitor's visa in 2023, remained illegally in South Africa until his departure, and later re-entered the country without a record. Despite his unlawful status, he was identified in the McLaren accident in March 2025. His unexplained re-entry highlights serious failure in border management and movement control system. Investigation into the identity fraud and DNA manipulation. That's an example also that we also want to highlight. Based on the finding of the SIU investigation, in conjunction with the Interpol, a significant scheme of identity fraud has been uncovered, primarily involving foreign nationals who obtain South African passport to commit crime abroad or seek refugee status elsewhere. The investigation revealed a specific modus operandi in which this individual collude with the departmental official to gain unauthorized access to Department of Home Affairs offices. Once inside, they fraudulently use the fingerprints of unsuspecting South African citizen while substituting the photograph on the application with that of a foreign national. In response to this finding, the SIU has proposed systemic recommendation to bolster security, and we advise that while the department is implementing its biometric system, it should enforce stricter control on passport photographs. Furthermore, the SIU recommended that strengthening physical access control to the departmental office is very important in order to ensure that all individuals entering the Department of Home Affairs facility can be positively identified, thereby preventing such internal collusion. In a parallel investigation, the SIU also uncovered evidence of DNA sample swapping and manipulation, which is a scheme designed to favor foreign nationals in their application for permanent residence permit. This practice exploits the requirements for DNA testing conducted by National Health Laboratory Services, which is a prerequisite for certain visa categories. The SIU has found prima facie evidence that these biological results are being tampered with to benefit foreign applicants. Although this specific manipulation may not fall strictly under Department of Home Affairs direct operational control, the SIU has formally alerted the department to this observation to ensure interagency awareness and cooperation. Compounding this issue of fraud is the systemic abuse of the retirement visa categories, which the SIU attributes to a lack of clear departmental guidelines for its adjudication. The investigation revealed that these regulatory gaps directly lead to manipulation and fraud, particularly because the visa type has no age restriction, making it susceptible to widespread abuse. A core part of the problem lies in the fact that while applicants are required to prove a monthly income of approximately $37,000 to obtain this visa, the department failed to monitor compliance with these financial requirements after the payment has been issued. This lack of post-issuance of oversight creates an environment where visa conditions can be easily circumvented and undermining the integrity of the immigration system. The visa issues in corrupt and fraudulent manner underscore the complex, interconnected challenges posed by immigration in South Africa, which demand a coordinated, strategic, whole governmental response. This challenge spans multiple sectors, including real estate, transport, banking, religious services, healthcare, infrastructure, education, fiscal policy, each presenting a unique impact and resulting issues that require urgent and comprehensive intervention. All relevant departments must collaborate effectively to address this sector-specific impact, such as urban overcrowding, labor tension, tax revenue loss, social liability risk, resource restraint, and border security threat through integrated planning, resource allocation, and policy development. Failure to adopt a cohesive approach risk exacerbating existing problems and undermining national stability and development objectives. Based on SIU investigation outcome, the following systemic recommendations are made. The department should strengthen its contract management, whereby the department should consider the enforcement of an ethical culture and provide ethical training to its employee. The department should consider vetting all its employees, and the department should consider system integration on all its processes, including those of other government departments linked to the Department of Home Affairs. The system integration should take into account the interim findings of the SIU and observation thereof. The department also should consider developing a step-by-step guideline on how verification should be conducted. The department should consider strengthening its verification process before the issuance of a visa. The department should also consider having quality assurance before the issuance of visas, and the department should consider system integration between the Department of Labor. The department should also consider enforcing compliance with the prescript by the company to issue a business visa to report to the department upon termination of the cancellation of the visa. Then when we look at the summary of the outcome as they are reflected in the screen there, you can see that we have made, there's 181 million in terms of financial gain that we have noted out of this investigation. I think I need to indicate upfront that this investigation is more about the systemic issue, not about recovery. But there are instances where we have identified some element of recovery, of which we are working hand in hand with National Prosecuting Authority, that is the Asset Forfeiture Unit, so that they can able to recover the money. Because this money does not emanate from government. It's a money that comes from outside. Therefore, it's a money emanating from criminal activity. Therefore, we are working with AFU in order to make sure that this money is recovered. And we can see there also we have identified 16.3, which was gained by the officials that we have identified. And number of, there's 275 number of criminal referrals that we have referred to NPA so that they must take action. And so far we have closed 111 investigation, and we have also referred 100 administrative action. That is the visas that we have identified to have been issued fraudulently. We have referred them to the department so that those members or the members who have obtained these visas can be deported. That is 100 of them. And we have done 19 systemic recommendations, and we have done 6 disciplinary referrals to the department. The SIU investigation paints a disturbing picture of systemic corruption within the Department of Home Affairs. Officials enrich themselves by unlawfully issuing permits, using spouse as conduit to launder bribes, and syndicate operate with precision, exploiting weakness in verification and monitoring process. At the same time, external factors such as Prophet Bushiri, Mr. Mpofu, and the Nigerian official we have identified, linked to the McLaren cases, they've leveraged the influence and fabricated documentation and misused network in order to secure fraudulent immigration status in the country. The findings make one thing clear: South Africa's immigration system was treated as a commodity. Permits and visas were sold, traded, and laundered. This finding shows corruption in the visa system is not incidental. It is organized, deliberate, and devastating to the public trust. Integrity is betrayed. And lastly, I just need to indicate that we are working hand in hand with the department in terms of this investigation. And we really want to thank the Minister, the DG, and the DM, because we have seen some of the action that they have taken where some of the officials have already been dismissed. So we are getting good cooperation from the department, and we have also noted some of the innovation and the modernization that they are implementing, and I think the minister will talk to some of those things in order to plug in some of the gaps that we have identified. And also just to highlight that out of this process, we have established what we call Border Management Immigration Anti-Corruption Forum. This is a forum that is focusing on a whole societal approach where we are bringing all the actors so that we can able to see how we deal with immigration into the country. So the forum is there, is in existence, and we are seeing such good traction in terms of the matters that are referred there. So we are committed as the SIU to fight this organized crime. You have noted that in the president's speech, he spoke about the organized crime, and we can see that clearly out of this is a really syndicate which is organized that really needs to be disrupted. And we want to thank all the law enforcement because we are working together hand in hand with them in order to make sure that we collaborate in order to deal with this catch of corruption. I thank you.
Thank you very much, head of the SIU. I thought you were going to even take longer, and you at least took 30 minutes. I'm happy. I thought you would take 45 minutes. But those are the outcomes of the investigation from the SIU investigation. And now I'm going to take this opportunity. We made it easier for you so that the minister is here to respond to some of these things. And for Dr. Schreiber, you can come and respond. We don't have space here. There's so many mics.
Let's see what I can do.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and good morning to the acting head of the SIU, Mr. Leonard Lekgetho, the Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, Mr. Njabula Nzuza, the Director General of Home Affairs, Mr. Tommy Makode, Deputy Directors General from the Department of Home Affairs, senior management of the SIU, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Before I get to my prepared remarks, I'm reminded of the engagement we had when we launched the Border Management and Immigration Anti-Corruption Forum last year. And the comments that I made there, I think, have really foreshadowed what we've found through the SIU now, where I expressed my very deep concern about South Africa becoming a syndicate society, where things don't happen at a small scale or by accident, but that they actually are the product of very sophisticated syndicates. And I think that links exactly, as Mr. Lekgetho has said, with the focus on organized crime. And I think that's the lens that we should apply to this matter. The interim report that is presented today by the Special Investigating Unit is in fact a synopsis of the state of Home Affairs that this 7th administration inherited and is dealing with. Indeed, in terms of Proclamation 154 of 2024, issued by President Cyril Ramaphosa, the SIU was mandated to investigate serious maladministration in relation to visa issuance and related matters for the period between 12 October 2004 and 16 February 2024. In other words, what the SIU has presented to us today is the result of up to 20 years of maladministration, malfeasance. And if you look at some of the timelines that they've shared, you can see how far back some of this actually goes. Over the past 20 months, however, under this administration, the Government of National Unity has moved with urgency and focus to address the root causes of these decades of damage. Our goal is simple: to restore the rule of law in Home Affairs, and our strategy to achieve this is based on 3 key pillars. Number 1, to uncover and investigate fraud and corruption. Number 2, to enforce accountability on those responsible. And number 3, to use digital transformation to drive systemic reform that closes the scope for discretion, interference, and manipulation. In terms of Pillar 1, the SIU has indeed done invaluable work under this proclamation, which has shed light on the root causes of visa corruption to an extent we have never seen before. We believe in the expression that sunlight is the best disinfectant. What we need to all be clear about, fellow South Africans, is that this didn't start today. It is just the first time that we are seeing it in full color and fully exposed by the SIU. For the first time, the SIU has helped us, indeed, to shed light into the deepest and darkest crevices of these processes. By exposing both the alleged perpetrators and the systemic loopholes that enabled their manipulation, Home Affairs has now been empowered to take decisive action against perpetrators who have gotten away with misconduct for far too long. That is exactly what we are doing. Perhaps the single most extraordinary and important finding of the SIU's work, at least for me, is that the bulk of the malfeasance that we see presented here was allegedly committed by a very small handful of officials. Think about that for a moment. The numbers that the SIU shares, the instances that they share, the damage caused to our country and our processes were enabled by a small handful of people, relatively speaking, exploiting loopholes and the manual nature of visa processes for their own benefit. That is why I can today announce, firstly, that disciplinary processes against all implicated officials are underway. A total of 20 officials have already been dismissed since April last year. I will also be requesting the Director General to write to the Department of Public Service and Administration, as well as the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, to ensure that these former employees are flagged and that they are not re-employed elsewhere in the state while they undergo the criminal proceedings that the SIU has mentioned. Over the past 2 financial years, a total of 75 disciplinary cases have been completed, resulting in an additional 16 suspensions without pay and 22 written warnings. This work has also led to a number of referrals for criminal prosecution, and I would encourage the National Prosecuting Authority to prioritize these cases as part of our collective efforts to restore the rule of law. But we are also not stopping there. The SIU has handed over, I think, just under 100 specific visas where administrative action is underway for cancellation, but we are looking at a broader pool of over 2,000 visas to see what administrative action is required to deal with any fraudulently issued documentation. If the process takes us there, we will cancel those visas, and we will also ring-fence subsequent visas obtained by these same individuals to ensure that all irregularly obtained documents are cancelled and that perpetrators are deported or prosecuted as required. This brings us then to the third pillar of our strategy. As important as the first two are, exposure and accountability, it is only through the systemic reform, anchored in digital transformation and the use of modern technology, that we can definitively close the space for corruption. I think, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at each and every one of the SIU's systemic recommendations, that is how we are going to close the loopholes that people abuse to engage in these kind of criminality. Digital transformation is the apex priority of Home Affairs under the GNU, and we have made extraordinary progress on this front over the past 20 months. At the heart of our work to close the space for manipulation of visa processes, to deal with almost everything that the SIU has flagged, is the electronic travel authorization. As confirmed by the SIU, it is paper-based and manual processes that have long created space for crooked officials to overlook fraudulent documents or approve applications that do not meet the relevant regulatory requirements. We are moving now to shut down all of these manual processes and replace them with new cutting-edge digital systems that leave no space for discretion and manipulation. This is not a promise. This is something that is happening. Home Affairs already launched the first phase of the ETA ahead of the G20 leaders meeting last year. I can report today that to date, this system has already declined over 30,000 applications that did not meet the relevant requirements for tourist visas. I'm not sure if those would have been declined if it was still a manual process. The ETA has this power, this capability, because it uses machine learning to verify the authenticity of documents like passports. There are 40 different parameters that the ETA checks when you upload your passport. You literally take a photograph and upload it to the ETA when you apply. 40 different aspects of your passport is checked, and we can know if that is a fake document. And we want to expand that capability to every other document that applicants have to submit. The ETA also uses biometric technology to match an applicant's face to their passport photo, which means that they cannot enter South Africa using fraudulent documents. In other words, your passport has to be authentic if you're a tourist. The face on your passport has to match the face of the applicant. And when you arrive in South Africa, the face of the person entering the country is checked again to make sure that it matches the face of the applicant. These are new capabilities that Home Affairs did not have prior to 2024. Following the release of today's SIU report, there can no longer be any doubt that the ETA is the single most powerful tool we have ever developed to clamp down on visa fraud. But our challenge now is to scale it up with urgency. Working together with the Border Management Authority and the South African Revenue Service, we are currently expanding facial recognition capabilities to all international airports and to our busiest land ports of entry. Once this work is complete, we will scale up the ETA to become the central entry point, firstly, for all tourist visas to South Africa. This means that we will shut down all other tourist visa processing, including at South African missions abroad. And I'm sure the SIU can indicate some of the challenges that go along with that space. But we're also not stopping there. Once this is complete for tourist visas, we will further expand the ETA to additional visa categories, including things like student visas, which is one of the main areas that have been affected by this malfeasance. By moving all visa processing into the ETA, we are closing each and every one of the loopholes that were previously exploited to grant non-qualifying or fraudulent applications. Let me give you one example. You'll find that 15 applicants use the same bank statement to apply for a visa. They make a copy of the bank statement and they submit it 15 different times. It is very difficult, even for an honest official, to identify someone using the same bank statement. With machine learning and AI technology that we've built into the ETA, it will immediately block those applications because it can simply immediately spot that this is the same bank statement that has been used on multiple occasions. By the end of this administration, every visa to enter South Africa from every visa category must be processed only through the automated and biometrically secure technology of the ETA. I think DM, DJ and colleagues, we have no time to lose in rolling out this solution. Through the ETA, we will indeed be able to ensure that it is never again possible for a handful of officials to manipulate processes and cause such extraordinary damage to our country. The rollout of the ETA also links to our work to build an intelligent population register to anchor a new digital ID system, which will ensure that biometrics are recorded for every person in South Africa and that biometric verification is used to protect our citizenship and identity system. The SIU touched on some of these issues as it relates to passports, but the other one where photo swapping is a huge concern is the green ID book. We still have 16 million of those green ID books in use and in circulation, and it is only by rapidly replacing those documents with smart IDs, but also with digital ID technology that is all linked to your face in the same way that online banking operates, that we will be able to do away with the green ID book so that it no longer becomes a source of identity theft and fraud committed by illegal immigrants. In driving all of these reforms, we must, however, not forget the importance of culture change. It's not only about technology. It is about using technology in new and better ways. That is why I do want to take a moment to also thank and acknowledge the many hardworking officials who have embraced Team Home Affairs and our vision to build a digital-first organization based on our core values of ethical conduct, courageous action, innovative thinking, caring interactions, and solutions-oriented approaches. In addition to restoring the rule of law, the reforms we are driving also serve to protect ethical officials from these syndicates. To the DG and his team, this moment truly must serve as a clarion call to all members of Team Home Affairs to once and for all turn our collective backs on the people who have brought shame to this organization over many years. Now is the time for us to stand up and be counted firstly as proud South Africans who are determined to restore ethical conduct in all that we do. Ladies and gentlemen, this work done in collaboration with the SIU has been a watershed moment in Home Affairs' quest to restore the rule of law. I extend my sincere appreciation to the President for having authorized this proclamation and to the SIU team for their partnership, professionalism, and unwavering commitment to rooting out corruption. We will continue this work with you all the way to its conclusion. Above all else, the SIU has confirmed and reinforced that our commitment to driving digital transformation in order to close the space for discretion and manipulation is not only the correct strategy to eliminate visa corruption, but that it is also an urgent national priority. Our resolve and commitment to not only holding accountable every single official involved in this malfeasance, but to building new, modern systems free from manipulation has never been stronger. It is in this 7th administration that we have the opportunity to chart a bold new course forward. We now know that our strategy is the right one and that we are moving with determination in the right direction. What remains is for us to accelerate implementation, to ensure that the next 20 years of Home Affairs is far better than the previous 20. We will not rest until that work is complete. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. We definitely, I think, agree to the fact that we will work together, collaborate, and make sure that this country is better than it is now. Therefore, I wanted to check, Deputy, do you have comments? If we can come through before we open it up for the question and answer.
The space is non-existent, eh? It's okay.
The coverage is a lot.
Yeah, no, I think I will manage, you know. Thank you very much, Program Director, Mr. Kaiser Khanyaho of the Special Investigative Unit, the Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Schreiber, and the Director General of Home Affairs, Mr. Tome Makode, the Acting Head of the SIU, Mr. Leonardo Lekgetho. Thank you very much for the presentation and all the reflections that have been made. We are joined with by some of the Director Generals from the Department of Home Affairs, as well as the senior managers from the SIU and the colleagues from GCIS. Receive my greetings this morning. Today's briefing, colleagues, by the SIU marks a very significant milestone for us. It is a testament of our tireless work, supported by the South African law enforcement, to transform Home Affairs into a secure, digital and modern department. Because for us, Minister, what is most important is the work that we must now do, having received what the SIU has told us and what we have already implemented, Minister. I think you were very clear on issues of the implementation of the ETA and how it mitigates against some of these things that will have happened due to the paperless system. And our efforts are not just ending in terms of the permitting. Really, for us, the collaboration that we've been having with the SIU is bearing fruit. We'll remember that at some point, as the Minister has reflected, that we launched what is called the Border Management and Immigration Anti-Corruption Forum, which we recently launched just a couple of years, if not a year ago, to dismantle the issue of criminal syndicates. So there's more that we are still going to be doing in this particular space, and I would really like to express my sincere appreciation to the Special Investigation Unit for their stellar work in helping us root out these corrupt elements, because we're at a level where they're being rooted out now. We are actually just cleaning the environment, which is very important, and I don't think that we need to worry much about the implications of what will happen, but what must happen moving forward now in terms of operating in a clean environment. For us, enforcing the rule of law is not an option. We are doing it already, and we will not retreat. That we must make very clear, that we will not retreat. Whatever you throw at us, we will continue to come back as a team, working together to make sure that we throw punches back and will not retreat against officials. We know some of them have accumulated resources, they use all tricks, they go to court because they are able to do so. But they must know that though even those resources, they will run dry because we are not going to retreat. We will be using these findings of both the SIU and the ministerial committee as led by the former DG in the presidency, Dr. Cassius Lubisi, and the MDDT team to drive systematic reforms, which I think the minister has really canvassed quite a lot on them. I must make it clear that our human resources branch as well has equally been relentless just to bring more light on the figures that have been shared by the minister. In the last financial year, we concluded 44 disciplinary cases. As we did indicate, this is not done by a huge or a lot of people within the organization. Few people, because of paper, records, they are able to do so much. I know that we often say, I've observed this minister, when are the big ones falling? But sometimes paper gives power to the most junior and make them to have more control over the system as originators of transactions. So 44 disciplinary hearings already concluded out of those ones as well. We have had 44 disciplinary cases. This has resulted in 12 dismissals, 14 suspensions, 13 written warnings. We have attended to 47 disciplinary cases, of which 31 cases have been concluded. This has resulted in an additional 9 dismissals, 2 suspensions without pay, and 9 written warnings. So the recommendations are not quiet. They are directing us where to act, and action has been taken, and it will continue being done. Now, we must remember that beyond these numbers, we are making a fundamental shift in terms of part of our Home Affairs at Home vision. We are moving away from manual paper-based systems which are prone to abuse towards a secure, automated, biometric and enabled system, and the minister did share quite a lot of details for that. But most importantly, we are also focusing on the people within the department by fostering culture change programs that will really change how our officials perceive the work that they do. We will use this interim report not just to punish people, but also to make sure that we engineer out the element of corruption in our environment. To the corrupt officials, we want to make it very clear that this report is an indicator that your time is up. We are coming for you. Yeah. Let us always remember that these things have very serious consequences on normal South Africans on the ground. Enabling people to come in South Africa through corrupt elements means that a family can be captured for 6 hours because those criminals you allowed into the country, what are they doing? They've hijacked the car. They are keeping them hostage in order for the car to cross the border. Imagine what DNA swaps do to the fabric of our society. It is not about a person getting citizenship because you have changed DNA swaps. What about the child that is now no longer going to be acknowledged to the family that they actually belong to because corrupt officials sat and decided to do DNA swaps? I would like to thank the Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Leon Schreiber, for your stellar work and for your leadership. To Mr. Lekgetho of the SIU, the counter-corruption team at Home Affairs, your commitment for the work that you have really done here is freeing South Africa from the shackles of corruption, and we'll see more work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DM Zunza. I think in one thing that resonates in all your speeches is that it might be about home affairs, but whatever people are doing in home affairs has got an effect. And when it happens, for example, when school starts, then there will be marches around education where people are saying, yeah, you prioritize foreign nationals more than this. All of those things are as a result of what would have happened here in home affairs. Therefore, it is important for people to understand that if we nab this in the bud, then we will solve many other problems that are not here now. Thank you very much. We come to that part of the program where we go in to ask the media to ask questions, and we also are going to ask Batabile to check with us whether the ones that are online have got questions, so that when we do that, we are able to then answer all the questions. You know the drill. Tell us who you are, which organization you are representing, and then your question. Please specify who the question is for, so that it is easier for them to write and respond. The teams are here to answer your questions. The slides are too bright. Slee, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in that order. Yeah, go on.
Good afternoon. It's Linda Losibata from ENCA. My first question is to the acting head of the SIU, just on when you're going to complete your investigations and when you can expect the final report. And then my second question is to the Home Affairs Minister. I know last year we were told about 38 dismissals had been made. Is this the additional 20? Is that an additional 20 now that we're talking about? Could you just confirm that? Thank you.
Okay. Yes, 1, 2, 3. Here.
Thanks. My name is Officer Stimo from SABC News. The question is for the Minister of Home Affairs. We understand that this new biometric move to a more biometric system has been planted since around 2022. Why is it taking so long to implement it and ensure that it's in the system?
Zinigo Mtaba from Newsroom Africa. My questions are directed to SIU. The first question I want to find out, can you get more clarity in terms of the ranks of these individuals? I need the number, specific number, just an estimation. My second question is in terms of the cases that have been referred to the NPA, but by any chance, do you have an idea how they've received these referrals and how far they've gone, or maybe what's their general attitude in terms of prioritizing the matters? My last question might not be so relevant, but I just want to understand. We're talking about two pastors here, Pastor Bushiri and Pastor
Omotoso.
Yes, Omotoso. In terms of the findings that have come out of this investigation, with the law enforcement prosecutors in any way, do they have access to these findings in terms of the papers, the visas, and the high or attained? If you are able to answer this.
Okay, Magolepo.
Thank you. I'm Hawelo Magolepo from UFM. The numbers that the Department of Home Affairs just shared now, I'm trying to find out whether they include these persons that we often see on international TV channels gaining visas of other countries using fraudulently acquired South African passports. These are people from West Africa and elsewhere in the continent. And when you talk about marriage for convenience, marriage for citizenship, and other fraudulent activities that we as citizens engage in order to help whoever would have bribed us to gain citizenship, how much of a crime, how big of a crime is it in South Africa? Because in other countries we are told that participating in such a criminality would be regarded as a crime against the state and comes with a hefty penalty. So in our case, what consequences could there be for somebody who's marrying a foreigner purely for helping them gain citizenship. Thank you.
Thank you. Lastly,
Good afternoon, Shannon Merrick, Kasi Broadcasting Africa. This round, my questions will be for the Home Affairs. I hope I can come back for SIU because there's some small Anyana skeletons. But for Home Affairs, it looks like in South Africa, Home Affairs has institutionalized or racialized illegal immigrants. Like currently now, EFF has raised an issue about Paul O'Sullivan, a white man that might be an illegal foreigner. But it doesn't look like the department is coming with the same vigor when it deals with blacks, Nigerians, Zimbabweans, and so on. What is the department doing about the complaint by the members of parliament regarding Paul O'Sullivan, whether he's an illegal foreigner or legal foreigner? Number two, Minister, you know, there's something strange happening. For 30 years, South Africans have struggled to get a passport. I applied for a passport a month ago. I got it in 10 days, less than 14 days. So my question was there corruption in the system for the past 100 years or 30 years? How is it possible now that I can get it in 10 days, the same amount, the same workers, and so on? Last but not least, Minister, the Guptas. What's the latest on the Guptas? I know international relations is dealing with it, but some of the Guptas are in South Africa and they still have passports, they still have visas and so on. Thank you. I'll come back for SIU if I'm allowed. Thank you.
thank you very much. I can see you are campaigning to hog the whole thing. Okay, we will then have to respond. Who starts? SIU. If you can just start, and then those that want to be in the next round must prepare themselves.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. The first one regarding when is the investigation anticipated to be completed is by September. I think the minister did mention that we are looking from the activity from 2004 to 2024, which is quite a lot. But so far, we have envisaged that by September, we should be done with this investigation. And on the issue about the ranks of individuals that are involved in this malfeasance, we are looking at junior staff. Those are the junior staff at the lower level, and some of them are senior. So this kind of corruption is happening at a very, very low level, where these are adjudicators who are doing things on their own at the lower level. Then with regard to whether is the NPA receiving all this information about the pastors, we just want to mention that we are working together with NPA on these matters. And also I can mention that these are not the only two pastors that are involved. There are other more that are involved, and of which for now we don't have much more information. We're still finalizing their findings, but there's a more that is involved in terms of the pastors. The other question is the issue about the marriage of convenience. Based on our analysis and engagement through this investigation, I think basically what is happening, the crime that they're committing is fraud. And what we have discovered is that people get paid 400 rand in order to engage in such marriage. So there are some that we have interviewed, and there are some that we have come across whereby now they want to come out of it. But it's quite prevalent, maybe mostly to the people who don't have knowledge. I think they target the people from rural area who don't have much knowledge about the marriage, that once you get into it, it will really be difficult for you to get out of it. So that's how they are doing it. I think that's all the question for SIU. Thank you.
Minister?
Thank you very much. I've just quickly tried to check on the first question about the 38. I would think that the 38 includes this 20, but there may be a few additional that have come out of that 20. So sorry for a bit of that confusion. I just don't want to give you the wrong number. But you are correct to refer to the 38 as the total released since July 2024. The second question was on the biometric system since 2022. I really can't speak to that. I can speak to July 2024 and onwards. And what I can say is we have been, I think, single-mindedly focused on getting the ETA off the ground. So that's since July 2024. As I said, the first phase rollout was in October of last year, ahead of the G20 leaders meeting. And we haven't shared this very broadly, but I think it's important actually. We will have a full-scale marketing campaign once it's fully rolled out. But I do want to encourage you to go and take a look at the website so that you know this is not something that's pie in the sky. You can go to eta.dha.gov.za and you can see the portal where at the moment there's only a few countries where tourist visas are being processed. We will then expand it to be tourist visas from all countries. And then eventually, as I said, by the end of this administration, we want every visa to go through that portal. Excuse me, you can have a look at the frequently asked questions, get a sense of the technology. But what I want to say is it's very much real and happening. It's not a theory. It's happening in practice. The question on passports, we've actually, just also for the SIU, this issue of the photos in the passports is one that is very prominent that we've been working on. DG may want to just confirm, but my understanding is that we've actually moved the biometric verification. You have correctly identified that in the past people would do their fingerprints when they go into the office, and then they would go to the photo booth, and that's where someone else would go, and that second person's photo would be in the passport. What we've done already is to move biometric verification into that second photo. What that does is the photograph that goes into the passport is now itself verified against the population register. So in other words, that photo has to match the record of the applicant, otherwise the passport isn't produced. This is a massive step forward in this issue of South African passports being abused, because and this is actually a great example of how you close the gap and the loophole that people have been exploiting. So in the past, they may have thought that they can pay the South African citizen 400 Rand to go and do fingerprints. They pay the official 400 Rand and they swap when it comes time for the photo booth. It's no longer possible because that photo itself is being biometrically verified. These are some of the steps that we are taking and will continue to take and roll out to make sure that we also secure the passport side of the equation. As far as I'm aware, marriage for convenience, it's fraud. It's a crime. It's not something less. It's not a small crime. It's a crime like any other crime, and it should be prosecuted in terms of fraud and similar criminality. I'm advised that there was a letter sent about Paul O'Sullivan. We will look into that and provide any information that is required. Just to indicate, the one thing that often gets lost in the debate or the visuals around illegal migration or visa transgressions more generally is the number of people that the BMA turns away at the airports. And I think this deals perhaps with the perception that has been raised. You'll find a lot of cameras in December at the Beitbridge border post or Lebombo, where we will see people from our neighboring countries being deported or trying to cross illegally into South Africa. But if you had cameras at the airport, you will see on many flights regularly every day 2 people here, 3 people there who don't actually have a permission to come in. And obviously this is your more wealthier travelers, including the ones from Europe that the questioner raised. And so that happens on a daily basis. I think it's just a matter of where a lot of it gets communicated. I can tell you that I very proudly cancelled the citizenship of one of the Guptas who got it illegally. And I'm not aware of any of them being in South Africa. But we will certainly do whatever is required to support DIRCO and justice in their pursuit of justice on the Guptas from a Home Affairs perspective. I think that in and of itself was an important step to clean up Home Affairs and undo some of the damage that state capture also did to the perception of this organization. Thank you.
Thank you. No, well appreciated. And those are the first responses. There's something that I need to mention. Some of the people don't understand the impact of this swapping of identity that happens. One of the people that we talked to, she's employed as a security officer, and then she was paid and she did this swapping, and then later on when she had to go and renew her SIRA certificate, when they pressed the system, the picture that appeared was not hers, and they said, no, we can't renew your SIRA because it is not you on the system, just for 400 rand, which is some of the things that happen. But Tabile, is there anyone on the online?
Yes, we have a question from Cindy Somsharati, representing Gauteng Network. What are the implications of immigrants paying someone to have their passport stamped at the borders as if they left and returned to the country, even if they never actually departed?
Is that the only one? Yes. Thank you very much. Let's get back to the room. My guy is the first one here for the second round. 2. Anyone else? I only see 2. Okay, let's go.
Thank you. Shannon Merrick, SIU Broadcasting Africa, SIU, Small Anyana Skeleton. There is a matter that's been going on for some time, and I think Bra Kaiser will be best fit so that the new broom don't make a mistake and talk about a man in the state attorney's office, a big boss, not a small clerk, Mr. Nikabe, and a lawyer, Mr. KG, and so on. We just want to know what's the status on that case, because it involves millions of black people's money and nobody knows what's happening. Just an update on that. Last one, I'll just go for 2 now. The last one is the SIU. It looks like it's doing the right things, but at the same time, how does the SIU avoid where it has to give Porsches, Lamborghinis back and things like that? Then it looks like these guys didn't know what they were doing. On the Bashiri thing as well, the SIU in the report says somebody was a family member or a church member of Bashiri. They gave him help and so on in the department. We know Floyd Shibambo's mother and the Shibambo family are close to the Bashiris. Did the Home Affairs SIU look into those relationships as well as political exposed people? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next one.
Thank you, Howard Magolewa, again from UFM. Again to Home Affairs, just on a point of law, if you were to be given an opportunity to convince Parliament, whether be it amendment to existing legislation or introduction of a new immigration law altogether, what suggestions would you readily make to them? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you want me to take them, the questions from Kasi?
Yeah, thank you. I prefer you.
Okay, in as far as your questions are concerned, you'd know that the matter of Lukabe in the Johannesburg State Attorney's Office, this matter is already in the courts and they are being handled. Therefore, we don't want to give details. All that we can say is the matter has been dealt with. And then the second part of that matter was the accomplice, which was an advocate, Kaji. He was found guilty and sentenced. Therefore, that matter is being dealt with. And then in as far as, what was the Lamborghini? I came out very clear when I was explaining this. An impression was given that we have taken back the Lamborghinis that were taken from Momela, which is not true. Those ones are still with us. The ones that were referred to are the ones that we took from Omar Moto in Witbank, where they went back to court and claimed that the industry certificate says they are the owners, not Maumela. And we said, fine. But I explained clearly to say it works in our favor, even though the ruling was sort of against us, but it works in our favor because the tribunal said, take back those, that it was two Lamborghinis, two Aston Martins, and a Rolls Royce. Take them back, but the garage or the dealership must give you guarantee equivalent to the value of those cars. It works for us because we'd rather keep the money or the immovable properties than keep cars that will depreciate. Therefore, it really works for us. We will have the money. In a case where we need to recover, we will just go and recover. Therefore, the public mustn't be weary of that. Nothing is going in a wrong way. Yeah, we don't, I always say this very clearly, we do not go after individuals. We investigate processes. If the processes lead us to people, so be it. Therefore, we are not going to, because somebody wants to revenge on somebody else, then we go and do it. We don't do such things. Thanks. Minister?
Thank you very much. I have got an update for the colleague from ENCA. It's actually additional, so there's 55 in total. It's the first 35, 38 plus 20, so that's 58. The implications of stamping at the border, look, I mean, it goes back to the first point that I made about fraud. It's fraud and misrepresentation. You don't need to legislate for every single kind of fraud. You simply have a law that says you can't commit fraud and corruption, and that's the basis upon which you can act. And I think the question on what is our proposal, what would we want from Parliament, it's all in the draft revised white paper that has just gone through public comment. And I must actually say, there's a good opportunity to just indicate to the SIU colleagues as well, if you go and have a look at that, so many of the issues that have been raised, even in the report today, are being addressed in that white paper. One that I can think of immediately is the age requirement for a retirement visa, a straightforward thing that we can implement. So there's a lot of really sensible, impactful reform that we can actually drive at a legislative level through that white paper. So obviously we've gotten the public comment, we will now process those, and then we'll take it back through the cabinet process. But I do think in the broader context of the issues we are dealing with, it is going to be something that assists us and actually implements in a very straightforward way some of the recommendations we've seen out of this work. Thank you.
Appreciate it. We are almost getting to the end of this briefing. Is there any last minute question that anyone wants to have? In the absence of any, we are,
I'll take the opportunity.
Okay, let me start with Slee and then come to you.
Sorry, Minister Schreiber, I think what I'm seeing online in terms of concerns is what's happening now in terms of maybe tightening up these systems while we're digitizing. I think it's a matter of getting these bad apples out. So is there a vetting process that's going on at Home Affairs? What are we doing to kind of clean up that immigration space? Thank you.
Okay, and then lastly.
Thank you. Shannon Merrick-Scassi, Broadcasting Africa. Minister, we in the digital age, and so one of the key things nowadays is the nomad visa, NOMAD, nomad visa. What is South Africa doing to assist people that apply for the nomad visa, whether they're from Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Europe, whatever, and so on? And what is South Africa doing for South Africans that want to go and work overseas using the same visa? Thank you.
Okay, I can confirm that that was the last question. I need to make sure because I don't want to come back here. Okay, we are doing the last round of responses. Minister.
Thank you. I'm getting my steps in here, so thank you. On the nomad visa, the biggest challenge we have in that space is, again, the processing. So you can't invite a digital nomad to apply for a visa on a piece of paper and then waiting weeks for it to be processed. So it's just another example of better efficiency and security we will get when we move that visa application process into the ETA as well. So that's that. For South Africans abroad, I mean, Home Affairs doesn't grant visas for other countries, but we should enhance the security of our passport. That's the biggest thing we can do. So I've shared with you the work on biometric verification for the passport picture, but there's more work underway to strengthen the credibility and power of the South African passport, and there are conversations happening with some other countries so that once we are ready, once our system has closed those loopholes, that we can actually share that with other countries and hopefully motivate for better visa-free access. What's happening in the interim? Yes. Firstly, there is obviously the disciplinary processes. So we've shared some of the numbers of cases that are concluded, but as you will know, a lot of them we can't announce anything until the process is concluded. So there is a lot of work going on in disciplinary proceedings, but I think it's important to just maybe emphasize this point again. It's not a huge number of people, just to convey correctly. We're not talking about thousands of officials here. In one case, there were 11 people that were enabling this. So I think the staggering thing about this actually is precisely the fact that it is a relatively small group of people, many of them lower level officials, who have this extraordinary power and discretion. And I think that's what defines the challenge for me. When that was shared with me last week as well, I double checked with the SIU to say that's quite an incredible thing that such a small group can have such extraordinary influence and ability to manipulate. Of course, there are recommendations here around vetting, etc. We'll take those forward with urgency. And then I think the last question was my favorite question of the day, was the gentleman who asked, how did he get his passport so quickly? That is, in fact, what you can see through the improved efficiencies on the technology side. We've really reduced the turnaround times for these documents by over 66%. That, I think, is a demonstration of why there should be confidence that, of course, we have a massively long way to go. But yes, your passport is getting to you more quickly. Yes, we've issued over 4 million smart IDs last year, which is more than ever before. Yes, the ETA is live. We still need to scale it up. But these aren't theories. These aren't pipe dreams. These are things that are happening in reality, and we will just continue to accelerate from this report in that direction. And I think that's why ultimately I think there should be a great deal of confidence in the cooperation that is taking place between Home Affairs, the SIU. We are clearly taking this matter with the extreme seriousness that it requires, and we're not only focusing on getting rid of the bad apples, but we're actually making it impossible for them to commit these kind of offences going into the future. And that's where technology really is our biggest ally. Thank you very much, Mr. Khanyago.
Thank you. Head of the SIU.
Thanks, Brake. For me, it's not to answer any question because there hasn't been any question. But I guess I just need to pass my thanks to the team. I think you can see some of the team are here, some of the team are sitting at the back. This team is really working around the clock in order to make sure that we get all this outcome. So thank you to the team for putting up this thing together. And also I need to thank the whistleblowers. Our work will not work without whistleblowers. And they really make our work to be so simple because they direct us to where we need to go. We really want to thank some of those people that has blown the whistle. You'll note that when I started, I indicated that the whistleblower came and reported a matter to us. So we really want to thank you. And also to thank the DG, because always we go and knock in your door and say we need documents, and he makes sure that officials provide documents to us speedily. We really want to thank DG for that, and your anti-corruption unit that is working hand in hand with us. And lastly, to thank the Minister and the DM for your support on this investigation that we are able to make it because of your support, based on what you have just indicated here. And maybe before I started, I forgot to thank, because this whole investigation was done under the leadership of Advocate Mtibi. So he really did well, and we really want to thank him. And we just need to emphasize that I think our relationship with NPA is even going to go to a higher level in terms of making sure that this matter are dealt with. So we really want to thank him also. And lastly, we really need to uphold the rule of law. And it's upon us, all of us. Corruption is not the responsibility of SIU or only law enforcement. It's all of us that really needs to garner against corruption and to report it as we see it happen. These people, they are living within our community. And we know that these people are not supposed to have this flashy car, flashy house, but we are normalizing it. I think once we can start coming out and make sure that we report, there's a hotline for SIU where you can report the matter. If you can go to our website, that's where you can see the number. But fighting corruption is everybody's responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. All good? All good. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have provided for you all the infographics that you were seeing. They have been sent to all the media as we speak. The toll-free number that Mr. Lekgetho is talking about is at the bottom of each one of them. You will see it there in all the areas where you can send, you can be a whistleblower. You can send the details there. Therefore, we appreciate it, and thank you very much for attending. The press conference is adjourned. Thank you.